The crack of the slap echoed through the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Military Academy, but it wasn't the sound that made 2,000 cadets hold their breath, it was the absolute stillness of the human girl who took it. General Korthax of the Vorthan Empire, 7 feet of muscle and scales, had just made the biggest mistake of his military career. The Academy prided itself on training the galaxy's finest warriors. Species from 100 worlds competed here, each bringing their unique advantages. The Vorthans with their natural armor and 4 arms. The Zelphids with their telepathic abilities. The Kraxans who could see in 12 spectrums of light. And then there was Maya Chin, the lone human cadet who most considered a diversity quota gone wrong. Pathetic, General Korthax's voice boomed across the assembly. His primary arms crossed while his secondary ones gestured dismissively. 3 cycles at this academy and still you humans can barely keep up with basic combat drills. Your species applied for membership in the Galactic Alliance, but what can you offer? No natural weapons. No enhanced senses. Just soft flesh and brittle bones. Maya stood at perfect attention, her dark eyes fixed on a point just past the general's shoulder. She'd heard it all before. Every insult. Every dismissal. Every prediction of her failure. The other cadets snickered, grateful the general's attention wasn't on them. Look at me when I address you, cadet. Korthax barked. Maya's gaze shifted to meet his. Something in her expression made the general pause, but only for a moment. He'd broken 1,000 warriors across 50 campaigns. One small human wouldn't change that. Your kind sends you here thinking you belong among warriors, he continued, stepping closer. But you're prey animals playing at being predators. On my world, we have creatures like you. We call them Gorthlings. Do you know what we do with Gorthlings, cadet? No, sir, Maya replied, her voice steady. We keep them as pets. The general's mandibles clicked in what passed for a smile. Perhaps that's where humanity belongs. As entertainment for real warriors. The laughter from the assembled cadets grew louder. Maya's squadmates from other species looked away, embarrassed for her but unwilling to intervene. General Korthax commanded 3 battle fleets. No one challenged him. Nothing to say, Gorthling? The general leaned down, his face inches from hers. Perhaps you need motivation to find your voice. The slap came without warning. Korthax's primary right hand connected with Maya's face with enough force to send most humanoids sprawling. The sound cracked like thunder through the hall. Maya's head snapped to the side. A trickle of blood appeared at the corner of her mouth. But her feet didn't move. Not an inch. Slowly, deliberately, she turned her head back to face the general. The hall fell silent. Even Korthax seemed surprised she was still standing. Is that all, sir? Maya asked quietly. Because where I come from, we call that a warm-up. The general's eyes narrowed. Udera. What happened next took exactly 4 seconds. Maya's left hand shot up, catching Korthax's descending secondary arm at the wrist. Her thumb found the nerve cluster that every anatomy class taught was theoretical on Vorthans because their scales were too thick to access it. Theoretical for everyone except humans, whose ancestors spent millions of years developing fine motor control and precision grip. First lesson about humans, Maya said as the general's eyes widened, we evolved throwing spears at targets the size of your nerve clusters from 50 yards away. The general's arm went numb. Maya's right hand grabbed his primary arm as he tried to pull back, her fingers finding purchase in the one spot where his scales had a gap. An old war wound everyone could see but no one had thought to exploit. Second lesson, she continued, pivoting with perfect precision. We're persistence hunters. We don't need to be stronger when we can be smarter. She used his own mass against him. Combat instructors would later analyze the footage and marvel at the perfect application of physics. Force equals mass times acceleration, but leverage could make mass irrelevant. The twist came with an audible snap. Korthax's wrist joint, evolved for crushing and tearing, had never been subjected to rotational force at that angle. The general's roar of pain and shock filled the hall as he dropped to one knee. His broken wrist held at an impossible angle. Maya released him and stepped back, returning to attention. For seconds. That's all it had taken to bring down one of the most decorated warriors in the galaxy. You were saying something about Gorthlings, sir? She asked, wiping the blood from her mouth with the back of her hand. Korthax cradled his broken wrist, his other 3 arms trembling with rage and something else. Something he'd never felt facing a human before. Fear. You? How? He managed through gritted teeth. Maya's expression remained calm. You thought I was weak, but I am strong in ways you can't comprehend. You see soft flesh and brittle bones. I see a species that survived ice ages, plagues, and predators without any of your natural advantages. We didn't evolve armor because we learned to make it. We didn't develop telepathy because we created languages. We don't have 4 arms because we invented tools to multiply our strength 1,000-fold. She took a step forward and the general, still on his knees, actually flinched. Strength isn't in size. It's in willpower, resilience, and the ability to stand when the universe expects you to fall. You slapped me thinking it would break me. But it's your wrist that's broken. The medical team rushed in, but Maya wasn't finished. She addressed the entire assembly, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall. In 4 seconds, I didn't just snap your wrist. I snapped your perception of humanity. We're not here because we're weak. We're here because we're dangerous in ways you haven't imagined yet. We study. We adapt. We overcome. And the moment you underestimate us is the moment you've already lost. She looked down at Korthax one last time. You misjudged me. And you'll remember this moment. Never underestimate humanity. Because a human with nothing to lose is the most dangerous creature in any galaxy. Maya turned and walked toward the exit, her footsteps echoing in the stunned silence. As she reached the door, she paused. Oh, and General? That nerve cluster in your wrist? It's going to throb every time the weather changes now. Consider it a permanent reminder that humans don't need claws when we have knowledge. And knowledge, sir, is the deadliest weapon in the universe. She looked back at the assembly. Remember this moment. Remember that the smallest person in this room just brought down your strongest warrior. Not with brute force, but with precision. That's what makes us human. We find the weak point in any armor, the flaw in any system, the solution to any problem. We're not the apex predators of Earth because we were born that way. We're apex predators because we chose to be. The door closed behind her with a soft click. In the days that followed, the footage spread across the Academy network despite attempts to suppress it. Instructors dissected her technique. Cadets from warrior species approached her with newfound respect. The Academy's human application rate tripled within a cycle. A Zelphid cadet who had laughed the loudest found Maya in the library. How did you stay so calm? He asked. When he hit you, how did you not react? Maya looked up from her tactical manual. Pain is just information. Anger is just energy. Channel both correctly and they become weapons. That's the human way. We turn our weaknesses into strengths. General Korthax returned to active duty 6 weeks later, his wrist functional but never quite the same. He would face countless enemies in the years to come, but he would never again raise a hand to a human. When asked why, he would unconsciously rub his wrist and change the subject. At his retirement ceremony years later, he would say only this: I learned the day that there are 2 kinds of strength in the universe. The strength you're born with and the strength you earn. Humans have mastered the second kind. That makes them more dangerous than any natural predator. Maya Chen graduated with honors, the first human to do so. At the ceremony, she was asked to give a speech. She kept it short. They say humans are weak because we lack what other species are born with. But that's our strength. We're not limited by what evolution gave us. We're defined by what we choose to become. Today, I chose to stand. Tomorrow, we choose to soar. And anyone who tries to clip our wings will learn what this general learned: humans don't break. We break through. The applause was deafening. And somewhere in the crowd, General Korthax clapped with 3 hands, his 4th still aching in the rain. As Maya left the stage, a young human cadet approached her. How do we become like you? She asked. Maya smiled. You don't become like me. You become better than me. That's the human way. Each generation stands on the shoulders of the last. We don't just adapt. We evolve. And evolution, Cadet, is unstoppable.